This is the weekend we've all been waiting for, the Spanish Grand Prix. Why? Well, because this is when the flexi-wing technical directive, long awaited, kicks in. Now, John, we've been roving around, looking at what we can see in the pit lane, speaking to people. What have we learned about the changes that are being made here?
It's quite interesting because we've had a long build up to this. We've race 9 of the championship, lots to talk about. It's going to force teams into lots of changes. But you and I have walked up and down that pit lane today. There's no huge revolution in terms of the designs we see. I spoke to a team boss today, so it's all in the detail basically. So the change is going to be to carbon fibre layers to toughen them up and a few supports. So if you look at the McLaren, for example, you can see another little support has appeared just to help that top element there. And some teams have done things differently. I think if you look at the Haas and the Alpine, actually some supports have been taken off. So maybe they've toughened things up, maybe the wing's just behaving in a different way. But I think it's fair to say if you're looking at pictures of the cars, they look almost identical. But it's in the details that matter, and it's what really matters is how they perform out on track tomorrow and beyond.
And of course, this is measured by the load test they do, the static load test, how much deflection you're allowed. The permitted tolerance has gone from 15 millimetres to 10 millimetres, so a significant reduction. They've been testing today, John. Meant to get quite hard for you to watch them, though.
Yeah, it's been interesting today. So the FIA garage here in the Barcelona pit lane had the rig on that's measured the loads go onto the wing, so that the teams bring their wings down. All the teams had a set slot today to bring their wings down, and I kept wandering down and there was no team there. And then lucked in, just as I was waiting, the Williams came up, so the nose was there, you saw them put the mount on, and I thought, this will be quite interesting to watch this. And then the FI man just pushed the garage doors and the shutters came down, so it was all in secret. So we've not seen a load test done, but all the teams have cycled through them today, and I'm sure they've all passed, and we'll see what the impact is tomorrow.
And the big question is, why are the flexi wings so important? Why could such a small change potentially have such a large impact?
Yeah, it's all to do with car balance. When flexi wings came around 5, 10, 15 years ago, it was all about straight line speed boost, lowering drag on the straights. Now it's about car balance. These ground effect cars have got a compromise of low speed understeer and high speed oversteer, and you've got these two compromises. What a flexi wing does is it kind of backs off the wing in the high speed, so it sorts out that oversteer problem. And it pops up at low speed, so it sorts out that understeer problem. So it kind of solves those two issues in an aero way, which is very, very good. But as Lewis Hamilton said today, it's a band-aid for poorly designed regulations, because it's a problem that you can't fix any way. There are mechanical ways of doing it, but that leads to some pretty hefty compromises in terms of what the car does.
And it's a problem inherent in ground effect cars in terms of getting that front end load. So it was a known problem even before these cars started to run. Let's hear from Mark Hughes now with a little bit more on the technical challenge and the technical benefits of flexi wings and reduced flexibility.
Yeah, so there's an inherent trait in the cars where in low speed corners they understeer and in high speed corners they oversteer, and the flexi wing got you around that. Now, doing it mechanically when the wings were more solid, you would set up the diff to give you a little bit more rotation on corner entry, especially at slow speeds, and then you'd have a different diff map, of course, for the higher speed corners. So that would get you around that. It was a bit clunky, and it sometimes didn't give the driver nice sensations. It was moving around a lot. Whereas when he did it with the flexi wing, so you could put a lot of wing angle on at low speeds, so it would give you that front end bite that you need to get the rotation. But then at speed, as the wing sort of deflected downwards and it became less powerful, so that aggressive wing angle would no longer give you the high speed oversteer. That was the idea, and it did give the teams a very good fix for a trait that is inherent in this generation of cars in particular. But one thing that might make this change to stiffen up the wings less powerful than it might otherwise have been is the fact that this year, as the cars have got, the teams have got good at running the cars even lower and lower and lower, there's a trait which has appeared, which is that the cars have unstable entry and get mid-corner understeer. So that's the opposite. So in a way, the flexi wing may have been getting them around a trait which is no longer there so much.
Great stuff from Mark Hughes there. Obviously, John, the question everybody's asking is this going to knock McLaren off its perch? Is it going to change the game? What's been a relatively dominant season into one where they're struggling? That's what Red Bull and Ferrari in particular hope.
Yeah, I think you've got two issues at play here. You've got, first of all, the flexi-wing clampdown itself. What difference is it going to make? I think people don't know yet how it's going to shake up. It is going to make a difference. Carlos Sainz today, quite amusingly said, well, it could change things by 1/10. Not very much in either direction. But the grids are now so close this year that 1/10 can make a difference. So I think the teams that have been exploiting it most could suffer the most as well. The teams that haven't been exploiting it will flatline in their performance. So you've got this potential shake-up, which probably won't play out to qualifying and maybe not even until the race. But there's another issue of the track itself here. This is a high-speed track, actually, where the McLaren isn't very strong. It's a bit like Imola, where the Red Bull kind of shone. So I think this is a weekend where actually McLaren could struggle. There will be then a narrative that, McLaren have been slowed by the flexi-wing clampdown. But I think that's not going to be what's happened. It's been a consistent continuation of, this, what Andrea Sella talked of, the apple and pear circuits. There are tracks that suit Red Bull, tracks that suit McLaren. This will be a track that suits the Red Bull. So McLaren could well be on the back foot this weekend. It could be an open goal for Max Verstappen to win, but it won't be because of the technical directive. It will be because of these car characteristics.
And that's the thing, you have to judge these things over a long range of races. We've got Montreal in a few weeks, that'll be a different challenge, and you've got to factor in with the underlying characteristics of cars. It's interesting because obviously loads of drivers have been asked about it. Oscar Piastri was asked about it a few times today, and he said, the only real problem is how overhyped the whole thing has been. So they're sticking to downplaying it. Charles Leclerc was asked about Fred Vasseur saying it was a game changer, and Leclerc said, he said it could be a game changer. And what's really interesting is I feel like this has been on the horizon as this big change point, and kind of as it's got closer, the teams that could benefit have become a little bit more reticent. They still think it will help them, but it's not like it's going to knock a huge amount of time off anyone. As you said, it's maybe a help, but it's not really a two-part championship, or at least that's not what we're expecting at the moment.
Yeah, I think we need to give it 3 or 4 races to find out. Like everything in Formula One, details matter. This could be something that pushes cars out of a comfortable window. If they've got to compromise the mechanical aspects too much, suddenly a car that felt great doesn't feel great. But I don't think we can judge the impact this weekend. Let's give it 3 or 4 races, and I think then we'll have a truer picture of what was a real impact of this flexi-wing clampdown.
And of course, we should also say it's had an impact already. Komatsu was talking about it, said they haven't exploited it to the maximum. And I asked him, did the fact you knew this was coming change your plan? He said, yeah, absolutely. We'd have done more if we knew this wasn't coming in. So this is very, very much a moment that's been prepared for, hasn't it? They knew at the back end of last year that they were facing this.
Yeah, it's been coming. Some teams haven't pushed on with any work this year. Some teams continue to push on a little bit. But now we've got a level playing field. Everyone's operating to the same rules. Everyone's got the same exploitations. And I think it'll be an interesting weekend.
Absolutely. There's going to be a lot of talk about this. No question there'll be a McLaren narrative if they don't dominate, that they've been pegged back, and everybody will claim victory, as it were, in the flexi-wing wars. But let's judge this over a few races. Barcelona, the first test of this big change.